My name's Megan, and I've had 2 kidney transplants in my lifetime. My first one was when I was 8 years old, and I was fortunate enough to have a relative who was willing to donate. And the second one was when I was 18, and that one I wasn't so fortunate, and I had to be on dialysis for 3 weeks before a organ donor in Arizona was presented to me. And he was 33 years old, he was on life support, and before they pulled the plug, they found people to receive his organs, and I was fortunate enough. And I'm currently back on the organ donation list, and there are over 2,000 people currently on it. And my blood type's very rare, but it's also very easy to find. So for anyone out there who is healthy enough to not need a transplant themselves, please be willing to donate your own organs, because remember, there are those out there not so fortunate.
Hi, I'm Kathy, and I would like to share a little bit about my story. I had a liver transplant just 10 years ago, this last November, and I had a rare disease called primary sclerosing cholangitis. Those of you who know about Walter Payton, he was a football player from the Chicago Bears. He died from that same condition because he was not able to get a liver transplant, and in fact he died 1 year after my transplant. I was very fortunate. I am married, happily married for 35 years, and I have a son and a daughter and 2 granddaughters. And I would not have had the opportunity to get to see my granddaughters had I not got the liver transplant. They are 7 years old and just a newborn, so very, very fortunate.
Hi, I'm Denise McCluskey, and I had leukemia 5 years ago, and my sister, fortunately, was my donor. She was a bone marrow donor, and I'm here today because of that. I would not have made it if I had not gotten a donor, and I thought that the donor process was really, really difficult, and actually my sister's going to tell her story in a little while too. But it turned out to be a pretty easy process for the donor. I can't say that's for the person suffering leukemia, but the donor process turned out to be a pretty easy one, and I'm here today because of my sister. And I was thinking about this morning that I wouldn't be here and enjoying the job that I have and the people that I work with and my husband and my family had it not been for the generosity of my sister and her taking time out of her life to come and help me. And I hope that anyone who is thinking about becoming a donor, you should look into becoming a bone marrow donor. It's not it's a in and out type of thing. It takes about an hour, really. And there's no invasion of your body, so it's a pretty easy process. It's much like blood donation now, the way that they've changed it. So I hope that you look into being a donor.
Hi, I'm Kim Bungie, talking about bone marrow transplant. I donated my bone marrow to my sister, who was diagnosed with leukemia several years ago. I guess the thing that I want to convey is that it's not the horrible thing that some people have misconceived it to be. It's basically just a blood transfusion. No one goes in and pulls marrow out of your hips or anything complicated like that. It's a process that goes over several days, and the doctors come in and give you some medications, maybe one or a combination of 2 medications that actually get your blood cells kicking up and activated. The worst part of that whole process is you get flu-like symptoms, achy bones, achy muscles, that kind of thing. And what that does is gets the marrow separated and flowing in your blood, so that when you get hooked up to the machine to transfer, it's flowing out of your system and into a machine. And then basically they hook you to a machine that's almost looks like something somebody made in their garage, but it's a series of tubes that are on a wooden plaque, and one arm is hooked to that, and the other arm is hooked to an IV, and your blood slowly, over a period of hours, is drawn out and works its way through these series of tubes and this machine that separate the bone marrow from your blood. It separates it out, and it just fills in the bottom of this little tube. Mine took, I want to say, 3 to 4 hours, and that time span varies by your weight. So they do it very slow. You don't get dizzy. You're very comfortable. They feed you while you're there, and you just rest and stay comfortable. And that's pretty much the whole process. From that point, they take the bone marrow that you've donated, and it's, in my sister's case, it was infused to her right away, because she was in dire need. And then the rest of what they don't use was frozen, so that she has a backstock if, God forbid, she should ever need to go through that process again. In my sister's case, I'm happy to say it saved her life, and she's been cancer-free for several years now. I hope that my testimony here today will encourage others to become donors. I am on a list to be a donor, and I would do this again, certainly for anyone in my family, but I would do it for others as well, for somebody that needs it. I witnessed people who could not find a match or did not have a donor available when I was going through this with my sister, and it was very sad to see. And I think a lot of people are discouraged by it because they think that it's too much involved or there will be pain for them, but you'd be giving an awful lot at only a minimal amount of time taken from yourself. So please reconsider being a donor. It's important.